afternoon, and welcome to BBC Two.
Hello and welcome to Back to the 80s, the podcast that travels back through time in a DeLorean with jingle bells on it, because it is, of course, ladies and gentlemen, the season of goodwill to all men. Festivus. No, it's not Festivus. Well, it is Festivus, but it's Christmas, mainly. And we are, well, scant days away. We still have the Christmas special with Lee that's already been recorded like weeks ago. So that's I'm in a bit of a weird place at the moment. Technically, this in my head is the Christmas special, but it isn't the Christmas special because the person on today's episode did the Christmas special last year, he says, giving it completely away. From the Smorgaspod, it is, of course, regular guest now, regular of the podcast, part of the furniture, Mr. Andy Welch.
Oh, holy crap, I need to get through this weekend alive. Hello, everybody.
I think you'll be all right.
Well, you say that. I'm up at 3 tomorrow morning because I start work at 4.
Yeah, but, you know, you're not where you were, so you're not going to have people asking questions.
That's true. I'll have to work really hard. But on the plus side, tomorrow afternoon, me and the missus are going to the pictures.
Hooray! See Beeblebum?
No, because Beeblebum, annoyingly, isn't on tomorrow, but we are going to go see Beeblebum on Christmas Eve.
Yes, we're going to go see Beeblebum at some point because I've guaranteed the missus that there's actually a story and a plot and people are saying good things.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody is telling me that there is a story in this one. It's not just big orange explosions and long panning shots of some girl's arse, which will make it much better than all the other Transformers movies so far.
And the critics seem to like it.
I know. I mean, like, what? It's like the Citizen Kane of Transformers movies. Well, we were talking about this on the Smorgaspod the other week, how just in the early reviews, like, it was like 98% holding steady on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, what the hell? It's a Transformers movie. What's going on? It's because it's made by a competent director who cares about the source material. Yay!
Well, I mean, to be fair, Bane never cares about any of his source material. So,
well,
I'll give him that. I'll give him that.
I think he probably cared about the source material when he was cutting his teeth filming Victoria's Secret commercials. Come on now.
Well, probably. And he did care about The Rock, I guess.
Yeah.
By which I mean Alcatraz, not Dwayne Johnson.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Although, to be fair, I always care about both. So, you know.
Yeah.
I want to see a film with The Rock in The Rock.
That would be amazing. They should do a sequel to The Rock with The Rock.
Just remake it. Just have him as Stanley Goodspeed.
The Rock is The Rock in The Rock.
Exactly. To be fair, The Rock is an awesome film, and now I want to watch it.
Yeah, it is a great film. I do like it. It's one of those rare beasts that's like a Nicolas Cage movie where you know you can watch it and it actually makes sense.
Whoa, careful.
He does do some tat. I'm not saying it's not watchable tat, but he does do some sort of fairly I need a new conservatory, I'll make anything for food kind of films.
It's because he's scared of being poor.
Yeah, as am I, but you know.
He grew up pretty poor, and he got done for tax, didn't he, at some point?
Ah, yes.
And he got bumped right down, so he will literally do anything.
Went to the Wesley Snipes and Shakira school of tax.
Yeah, so now he does Michael Caine stuff, basically.
Yes.
So he will just do everything. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that film, it was shit. But on the other hand, I have this lovely house. So, you know, I don't think he cares. But whoa, with the anti-Nicolas Cage.
Oh, no,
whoa, motherfucker! Whoa, motherfucker! Anyway,
definitely not anti-Nicolas Cage though. No, he's a lot of fun.
He's amazing. But anyway,
You're in
enough
love
of
with
that.
him.
I am. I'm only Ryan Reynolds am I in love with more.
Well, to be fair, that's fair. I mean, you can't not be a little bit in love with Ryan Reynolds.
And possibly Andy Samberg. But anyway, moving on swiftly. Like I say, it is Christmas. How are you faring during the Christmas period? Are you just about done? Are you ready? Like I say,
I'm close.
5 days away.
Close. I mean, I'm very lucky that, I'm blessed with a very organised wife who kind of like, when I'm at work, has been wrapping stuff. We've got the things that we need to get got, for the most part. Yeah, and we don't need to worry about like major food shoppage because we're going to the in-laws for Christmas Day, so that's nice. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like our first Christmas in our new house.
Oh yeah, so it is. Have you got it all Christmased up?
We've got the tree up and a few bits and bobs. We kind of, because like panto and everything, and unfortunately, since last we spoke, my missus got made redundant, which is just the best Christmas present ever. Thank you, Northern Gas Networks, for that.
Brilliant.
So we weren't feeling terribly festive, and then once we got the panto over and done with, Amy put the tree up and a few bits and bobs. So we've not gone like, we've not decked the halls, but the halls are, received a light punch to the jaw instead of being fully decked.
Excellent stuff. And surely next year you'll be after Beric Kaler's job now he's retired.
Well, I first thing I thought when I heard he was, I was like, oh, yeah, it's a paid panto gig. I could do that. But I've got a panto to write first, so I'll be starting writing next year's Joseph Antry Theatre panto very shortly myself.
Excellent stuff. Do you know what it's going to be yet, or is that under wraps?
Yeah, no, I can tell you. I've decided. I had the idea in the middle of last year anyway, that I wanted to write Sinbad, because I was in a Sinbad panto many moons ago when I was in my mid-20s for the Joseph Roundtree Theatre. But that was back in the days, sort of before it kind of like got all new and big and more exciting. And we used to hire the scripts back then. And this particular Sinbad that I was in, I played Crunchbones the Witch Doctor. And on the page, you could not have performed that, even nearly 20 years ago. You could not have performed that. It was racist. It was blackface. And so I said to when I read the script, I said to Eileen, who was like the old lady who was directing back then, I said, we can't do this. Will you let me like rewrite the dialogue for him, and kind of like keep the sense of the dialogue and the plot direction, but just make it not racist. She said, yeah, absolutely fine, just go to town with it, do what you want. So technically that was my first panto writing experience with Sinbad. And we wound up, we didn't do blackface. I played him as, I sort of did like a Darth Vader-y style voice, like a big, booming, imposing kind of voice for him. And we had this great get-up where I looked like an Essex girl because I had like all this orange makeup. But I had like tiger stripes on me and stuff, and I had this big feathered headdress that made me look about like 9 feet tall. It was great. But I'm going in a different direction with my Sinbad. The first idea was, because at the time I wasn't sure because Howard, who I write the panto with, he is not writing next year, so I'm going to be flying this one solo and just like bouncing ideas off him and the choreographer and the musical director just to get feedback. But one of the first ideas was, and one of the hardest things that we have to do, is to find a decent place for to fit the dame and the idiot in there. And I settled on the dame having been like the original Sinbad the Sailor was married to the dame, and he's like gone off and got lost and been lost at sea and drowned or whatever. And she's kind of like fallen out with the idea of ever sailing anywhere ever again. And she makes all the sails and the nets for like the guys who like to do the fishing and things. So she's going to be called Tilly Tinbad the Tailor, because that's her profession. And her son, who's Sinbad Jr., is feeling the call of the sea and the call to adventure, and she doesn't want him to go to sea. And so that's going to be like the dynamic between like Sinbad and the dame, is that he really wants to go to sea and she really doesn't want him to, and they get swept up on this big old whirlwind adventure with pirates and everything. It's going to be great.
So I'm guessing she'd rather he be in Jingle All the Way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, right, not that Sinbad, I see. So she wants him to be a window cleaner at Brochy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Come Ed. All right, calm down.
Hey, come on now, come Ed.
Sinbad's one of my go-to Scouse words as well. You know this because whenever we used to do like Brookside impressions, it was like, all right, calm down. Hey, Sinbad.
My favourite is still it's still my favourite.
I like the fact that living in York, we could walk past the area where was it at the end of Damon and Debbie, like somebody got stabbed at the very end because they came up to York and one of them died or something.
Yeah, Damon got stabbed.
Yeah.
By whose bridge?
Yeah. On what is now Dame Judi Dench Walk.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking tenuous. She lived there for about 5 minutes. Come on now. I love it when you go on like Wikipedia for York and places like that, and they always say, "Oh yeah, famous residents include," and it's like half of them. Like they always make a big thing about Frankie Howard. Oh, he lived in York. He moved when he was about 1 year old. He never lived in York.
Mad.
He's a Londoner, for fuck's sake. It's like, yeah, but he looked at something.
York, don't remember it. Oh, such old face.
Maybe he just didn't want to remember it. But anyway.
Well, yeah, the evening, the Yorkshire Evening Press, like, there's never a day goes by when they don't print something about Judi Dench, like she lives in their office.
Yeah, she does. She's never been back to York. That's very telling, isn't it? She moved.
I was in the Mystery Players once when I was a teenager, and then I moved away and never went back.
Exactly. Fucking, oh no.
My Judi Dench impression is very much Catherine Hepburn, just slightly different.
I was going to say Maggie Smith. Oh!
Ah, good old Maggie Smith. She's awesome.
Oh, that's my Maggie Smith impression. Oh, you were Peter Pan once.
Mr. Weasley.
Oh, Harry Potter. It's very much as a high-pitched Donald Sinden.
It totally is.
Simon.
Oliver Small.
Moving on.
Quickly. We were talking about Christmas, weren't we?
We were. We've done it. So there you go.
Hooray. Thank you, everybody, and good night.
See you later. We shall move on to some ads because we are going to be talking various stuff tonight. Non-Christmassy Christmas films. Stuff Andy watched as a kid, and TV listings from 1983. So, yeah, that'll be our Christmas this time around. The ads this week, though, are from Time Teas from the 19th of December, 1986. I would have been very ill around that time because I did a stupid thing and fell down 2 flights of stairs in 1986. Ooh. Smashed my head in, basically, and fucked my cheek up so I looked like I'd been going boxing. I hadn't been going boxing, I just fell down some concrete steps.
Was that before I knew you?
Well before.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought so, yeah.
That was Hob Moor.
Yeah.
That's in a building that no longer exists, thank fuck. So
I think neither of our schools exist now, do they?
No, I don't think. Oaklands doesn't anymore. It's a very creepy York High School.
York High.
I've been on their website. It's a bit creepy.
I was going to say, the only time York is high is when like they've been to Selby to get their pot.
Exactly. So if Keith Richards gets cremated there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wasn't very well. But from the 19th of December in Time Teas, they were advertising first. Oh, this is amazing. Chaz and Dave's Christmas Carol album.
Yay. Oh.
I mean, who doesn't want that?
I think they should re-release it for this year.
I think they should re-release all of it. I've got most of it, to be fair.
They should do like a box set discography.
Including all their Tottenham singles. I got them all.
It should come with like a special like pint glass.
Yes.
And a cuddly, yep, bunny buddy, yep, bunny buddy, yep, bunny buddy rabbit.
See, I was surprised when he died. Sainsbury's didn't make any reference to it. They should have done.
Yeah, totally.
Give him rabbits at half price so you could get more rabbit than they have. But anyway, Chad and Dave's Christmas Carol album. I've got the other one. I ain't got the Christmas Carol album, but I've got the actual Christmas album, which is awesome.
Cool.
Next up, Boughton Hypermarket, which I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either.
I want to go there. I bet it doesn't exist. Someone suspiciously like Joss Ackland does the voiceover for that, but I don't think it's Joss Ackland.
Diplomatic immunity.
Exactly, it's just been fun. Next up, Croft Original, because it's sherry, Christmas sherry, and the oldest Bertie Wooster you're ever likely to see. I mentioned this before.
Yeah, I remember that advert very, very well indeed, yeah.
That was my first sort of exposure to Jeeves and Wooster.
Yeah, I think it was mine as well.
Because obviously now everybody thinks...
By Laurie, yeah.
Because they were the best. But obviously in radio, they'd been done for years. And I think Armstrong and Miller used to do a sketch where Worcester was basically just this murderous oik who didn't give a shit about anybody. And it was all really funny. But no, this was my first exposure to sort of Jeeves and Worcester, I guess, was the Croft original advert. Next up, Chic by Yardley, with that tune that goes da 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 da, and I don't know the name of it.
Oh God! Oh, I want to.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it was like there was two of them. There's that one, and there's da 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 da.
Oh no, that's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah,
there you go.
Great movie, great piece of music. That Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
Depressing ending.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence always makes me think of, as well, in the same mental neuron firing, of the theme from The Killing Fields, which is also a very nice, very haunting piece of music. Look that up.
Yes,
that's great.
And also Bowie.
Yeah,
David Bowie. David Bowie.
So my Christmas advert's a piece of cake, is it? Well, let's see how you deal with this little slice.
When I was a child, I built a snowman.
He left me this scarf.
He left me this scarf when the wind blows.
Oh, no. Raymond Briggs scarred me for life.
In the next episode, we do talk about When the Wind Blows, and Lee says she's never seen it, and I basically tell her, just don't bother. You know Threads, you know how harrowing Threads was? It's worse.
Yeah.
If you want to see John Mills and Joan Plowright be really nice and heartbreaking, yeah, go and do that. But no, David Bowie. Anyway, next up, Seconda. Surely not Orson Welles, but they're doing it in the style of the Carlsberg ads.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Orson was... Well, by December, he wasn't alive anymore.
This is very true, because he finished up doing TFTM and off he popped his clogs.
Yes, he did. He went to the big P sellers in the sky.
We're friends.
I mean, it could have been him, but would they have been... Oh, yes, they would have been that insensitive. It was the 80s. Different times. But I'm not sure whether it's Orson Welles. I'm guessing not, but it's a Seconda advert that's basically pitching like a Carlsberg advert. And then Vidal Sassoon. And I've
Some great 80s hairstyles.
I've just put as a note next to it, that hair's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Hole in the ozone layer, but never mind. Next
up, on the plus
is...
side, hair you could smash a bottle on.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Next up, some blatant Welsh racism, or racism against the Welsh. Heat Electric basically stating that Welsh people are a bit thick. Oh, we told the Doubting Thomases this and they didn't believe us. No, because we don't believe that the electric can be good see. We just think gas is the thing, you see. It's like, fuck off.
Are they not just playing on the fact that, Thomas is a Welsh surname and Doubting Thomas is a thing?
No, racism.
Okay.
No wonder we all hate the English. There you go. And then finally, Roses. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes.
Which they've tried bringing back and it hasn't worked because people just don't have any manners anymore.
Yeah.
People are just horrendously callous and ignorant shit now. So, but never mind. I still like Roses, but I don't like the sweets because they piss me off because they're all sealed wrappers now.
Mm.
And by which I don't mean Dr. Dre in a locked room.
Dr. Dre in a room with seal. And they're never going to survive unless they get a little crazy.
Well, no, Eminem's been done on both sides. Come see, come sa. Which I have a good story about. I went to France last week.
You did? Yes. How was France?
It was awesome because France is awesome. And we ended up in a French restaurant, like a proper French restaurant. Oh. And I had steak and I had it bleu.
Of course.
Because that's how I have my steaks. And the lady came up and she asked how I wanted my steak, in French, obviously, because she's French. And I said, oh, bleu. She said, oh, bleu. No, but anglais. I'm like, yeah, oui, bleu. And she was extremely impressed.
Yes.
Because obviously French rare is not like British rare.
It's like just carve me a bit off the cow, float it over a candle and put it on my plate.
Yeah, mooing, basically. Yep. But that's how I like it. So it's like, yeah, I got the most awesome steak I've ever had. And it was, yes. Oh, yes. And they had these weird chips as well that were like hollowed out canoes.
Oh, so yeah.
Could scoop the sauce better. So like, they must shave the potato really thinly. And then when it fries, it goes into like a scoop. It's awesome. I'd do it again. Very, very nice.
Oh.
So yes,
I'll have to. If I'm ever planning on going to France, I shall have to ask you what restaurant that was. So.
Yes, it's in Boulogne-sur-Mer, which is very, very nice. It's about half an hour away from Calais. It's really nice little. It's kind of like York. It's a walled city.
Yeah.
But it's lovely. But anyway, those are your ads. He says after 20 minutes of crapping on. Enjoy those. We'll be back in a minute. Bye bye for now.
He-Man is here. I'll be right back.
Get the spirit of Christmas with Chaz and Dave's Christmas Carol album. And have a Merry Christmas.
There's such a host of wonderful Christmas toy ideas at Benton Hypermarket. Even Santa has come by car. They'll love Teddy Ruxpin, a very special bear. He talks, sings, and moves. The Tunaville Choo Choo plays music as it rolls along. She'll love exciting gem dolls. Even Dad will play the football game. It's action all the way. There's lots more festive values, too, at Benton Hypermarket. It's a Christmas shopping sensation.
Your Aunt Agatha, sir? What ho, Aunt? Have a sherry.
Splendid. Bring me a cream sherry, Jeeves.
This is a cream sherry, Aunt.
Poppycock. Cream sherry is dark brown. Always has been, always will be.
Excuse me a moment, madam. Actually, a relative. Croft Original, with its light, delicate quality, is quite the thing nowadays.
It is not my thing. Ah, that's more like it, Jeeves.
I say, Jeeves, where did you get that from?
From the kitchen, sir. I understand they use it in the trifle.
Oh, Jeeves.
Croft Original Pale Cream Sherry. One instinctively knows when something is right.
Chic, the classic perfume by Yardley. Now in a beautiful new atomizer. Chic perfume. Timeless. Elegant. Lasting. Chic, the classic perfume by Yardley.
A Seconda versus one of the most expensive watches in the world. In our temperature and vibration tests, they both tell the same time. But what's the real difference? Well, to replace the watch on the left costs less than to replace the glass on the watch on the right.
Call it art. Call it style. It's the look and feel you only get from Vidal Sassoon with original salon formula shampoo, conditioners, and finishing rinse. Sassoon Clean. Sassoon Preen. Sassoon Pizzazz. Call it art. Call it style. It's the look and feel you only get from Vidal Sassoon.
Meet the Doubting Thomases. When we first told them about less than half-price electricity, they couldn't believe their eyes.
Do me a favour.
And when we pointed out that over a year, the typical cost of heating and hot water in a house like theirs with basic insulation was about 80p a day.
You're pulling my leg.
They still had their doubts.
I can't see it myself.
But when we gave them all the facts about storage heating, even Mr. T was moved to say,
I don't believe it.
Don't be a doubting Thomas. Bring 01200 0200 for the facts.
Thank you very much. They're covered in chocolate.
Cadbury's Roses. All their favourite centres lavishly covered in delicious Cadbury's chocolate. Say it with Cadbury's Roses.
Now back to He-Man and She-Ra.
And we are back. Hope you enjoyed those ads as much as we did.
I've got to say, on the subject of Croft Original, I do prefer Croft Original. Much as they've improved the new Tomb Raider reboots, I'll always love the Croft Original. Thank you very much. I'll get me quotes.
Sorry, I'm doing her noise when she dies.
Yeah.
Go straight, you big-titted bitch.
Nope, it made me want to drown things.
Oh, the things he was calling you. Anyway, enough of spaced. Christmas films.
Yeah.
Or Christmas stuff you watched as a kid. What What kind of stuff did you used to watch as a kid at Christmas?
Well, I've not seen it for years now. I really do need to watch it again. I saw that you'd posted on the old Book of Faces earlier the Radio Times cover featuring the Box of Delights.
Yes, it's good. It's
What a show! Yeah, I do need to watch that again because I remember. It's really weird what sticks in your mind. I remember like the sort of like the earlier episodes. Particularly, obviously, him meeting the bad guy on the train, only the bad guy pretending to be a priest at the time, going home for the holidays. What? And I remember the bit where he had like the rat guy chasing him through the streets, chasing Kay through the streets, and him losing him. And I remember distinctly the conversation, even though I've not seen it for about 30 odd years. The bad guy talking to the rat man and saying, did you not keep your eye on him at all times? And he said, well, yes, I did, master. And he's like, even in the snow? He said, yes, master. He said, well, then you must have very strange eyes. And just him absolutely he was just such an evil bad guy. He was a great TV villain.
Oh, Robert Stevens was great Shakespearean actor, so, but he's one of those few... Because, of course, in the early days of telly, a lot of the actors you saw were sort of stage actors.
Yeah.
So that's why you got big performances on sort of early telly.
Yeah, you got quality actors in there, yeah.
Well, it's not just that, but when people say that a lot of sort of early television, it's overacted, well, that's the reason, because they're not playing to a camera, they're playing to a full house and they're playing to the back of the house.
Absolutely, yeah, that's why I always have to remember to tone it down when somebody sticks me in front of the camera, because I'm more of a stage person, which is probably why I don't do more filmed stuff.
But Robert Stevens was sort of... he's sort of the contemporaries of people like Brian Blessed or Peter Cushing and people like that. And they were the first sort of stage actors, or actors who were primarily stage, to be able to go on telly and do a marvellous telly performance. Derek Jacobi's another one as well.
Yeah, I Claudia show.
I Clavdivs.
Yeah, I always call it Clavdivs as well, yeah.
I was actually watching Insert Name Here, actually, tonight, actually, where they were on about Biggins, and you forget that Biggins was in things like I Clavdivs. He was Nero.
He was.
Like, you see the cartoon character that is Biggins these days, and you think, well, you might not believe it, but he's like, that dude can act. He just chooses not to, Nero, that's all. So Stevens was definitely one of those. He could sort of do massive stage performances and yet really sort of bring it down and do this really sinister priest come bad guy come almost Nazi.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And Troughton, obviously he's in there, and he's another great actor who plays his character who's actually real. I mean, we say this on the next episode as well. It's the character he plays was a real guy. He was an alchemist and a wizard. He was actually called a wizard back then. So it's like awesome.
That is awesome.
What are you, wizard?
It's on my CV.
What do you do, wizard?
I do wizarding. That's what I do.
Down the Dole office. What do you normally do? Wizarding. Toboggan. But fantastic. But yeah, Box of Delights, awesome. And I've said it a million times. People always say it. It's one of those things like sort of Hitchhikers and Doctor Who of that era. You can forgive some of the ropey Quantel and
they didn't have they didn't have the effects, or they didn't have the budget for effects that would be much better in those days, and it was made for children's BBC. It doesn't have to. The thing is, when you were a kid and you were watching that, you had imagination in those days. You didn't go, oh, look at a blue screen, all that, like kids these days do, because if you can get them to look at the telly when they're away from their iPad for 5 seconds.
All right, Grandad.
I'm such a middle-aged man. I really am.
But yeah, I mean, even as a kid, I kind of knew it was a bit ropey, but that's fine. If the story's there, it don't matter. It just does not matter at all. And the story was definitely there. And it's a really good story, and it's Christmassy because it is set at Christmas. But even so, it's still really, really Christmassy. So yeah, Box of Delights. Definitely. Anything else that you sort of remember fondly?
I always remember it's really odd, and I think it was just because it was what was like the afternoon movie at Nana's on Christmas Day. For years, it used to be Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, was the Christmas Day movie, because I think ITV had the rights to it, and damn it, they were going to show it once a year at least.
See, I always think Empire. I always think Empire was like Christmas Eve or Boxing Day.
Yeah. See, I think that's because you are a little bit younger than I, so, yeah.
Because I always remember Star Wars being like an August bank holiday or an Easter bank holiday, something like that. I definitely remember Jedi New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That's a New Year's Day thing.
I'm trying to remember when we took Jedi off the telly, but I think that probably was New Year, yeah.
I distinctly in my head remember New Year's Day. And it was something like 1988. It was quite late on. It took them a while to show it. Because Lucas wanted to make all that lovely, lovely syndication money before he gave it to a free channel.
Yeah.
But there you go, fucking money-grabbing twat. Stop him. I'd already seen it, but it's not the point. I mean, that kind of brings us on to another subject that we were going to talk about, sort of non-Christmassy Christmas movies. So movies that aren't Christmassy. We're not talking about the Die Hards or Gremlins here, that aren't technically Christmas films, but set at Christmas. We're talking about films that most definitely are not set at Christmas. But by virtue of the fact that you probably first saw it at Christmas, you always associate it with that. So, have you got any films? I mean, I'll kick you off. Literally, probably one of mine, Escape to Victory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is such a Christmas movie.
And that was 84, I think Christmas 84 that was shown. I remember it being on a Boxing Day after Bob's Full House.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to bed after seeing Pele do one of the best goals I've ever seen, even though it doesn't really count because it wasn't real. But, yeah, I was thinking of Escape to... I think most definitely is not set at Christmas. It's set in the middle of summer. But, like I say, Christmassy.
Yeah, definitely a Christmas movie, Escape to Victory. And I remember my dad letting me sit up and watch it. And
you don't even like football.
I don't like football, and I'm not even mad keen on war films. So what the hell was I doing watching it? It was just a good film, and it still is a good film.
Cracking. Come on, boss, we can beat them. I remember Mike Summerby, come on, boss, we can do this. We can beat them. And they do, technically, because they have a goal disallowed. So it should be called Escape to Moral Victory.
Absolutely. Campaign to have that on the Blu-ray box straight away.
It's fantastic. If only for the fact that Max von Sydow applauds Pele's goal.
Yes.
And all the Germans around him are going, what do you do? What do you do? It's because he's a football guy, he's not a Nazi.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's cool. But yeah, my non-Christmassy Christmas movie that I always associate with Christmas, even though it wasn't Christmassy, is Moonraker.
Yes.
That was another Christmas Day at Nana's movie that was on. I recall. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I remember it being on a few Christmases in a row.
Yeah, I remember it being on quite a few Christmases.
Yeah,
I love Moonraker.
It's such a. It was, I think, maybe one of the earliest Bond movies that I saw at the pictures. So I've always got a soft spot for it, and also it involved space and lasers, which was very much my thing as a kid.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, by design, frankly. It wasn't meant... I think it was it The Spy Who Loved Me was the first one before it, and it said he will return in something else.
Oh, yeah.
And then Star Wars happened, and they thought, shit, we'd better do something that's spacey.
Yes.
So that's when they did Moonraker, because it doesn't really fit within the Bond canon. It's a bit of a weird oddity, but it is Roger Moore, so it kind of fits.
Yeah.
That he would... It was never the most serious Bond era.
No, it wasn't.
It was very much action-adventure, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. In sort of like in the vein of like your Indiana Jones type flicks and stuff, you can't take it absolutely seriously. So it's got its tongue in its cheek quite a lot, even when the stakes are high, sort of thing.
I was going to say, Roger never took it that seriously.
No, absolutely.
Oh, what a shocking ball.
Oh, feathers and you still can't fly.
Awesome. I was actually mentioning that to Buzz Dixon as well.
Yeah.
Because he was on about Bond villains that get killed, or villains that get killed by chucking them out into space. And I said, I think he said Goldfinger was, because Goldfinger was thrown out of a plane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they got sucked out of the window. And then I'm sure the guy, I can never remember, Stavros, was it?
In Moonraker?
Moonraker.
Drax. He's named after the power station near Selby.
That's it. He's Blofeld Light, basically.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He is to Bond what Robert Vaughn is to Lex Luthor in the Superman movies.
Yes.
It's basically the same character, but not quite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What's his real name? Was it Hugo something, or...
Something like that.
I seem to remember his name.
I forget. But yeah, he gets chucked out of space, didn't he?
Actually, no, I think Hugo was Drax's first name, his character name. I think it was Hugo Drax.
Hugo Drax,
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic film, Moonraker.
Yeah, and it was really nice because it had like a nice character arc ending for Jaws when Jaws.
He got a girlfriend.
Yeah, he got a girlfriend who was like about 1/8 his size, and God knows how that would have worked if he attempted re-entry.
Well, it wasn't long after that he started taking up the hobby of eating 3 shredded wheat.
Yes, yeah.
Or not.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't do it.
Well, nobody could.
I could, and I was only 8. Shit all over. I guess this means I could beat up Jaws.
I couldn't even eat 1 shredded wheat, and I think it's because I never had a fondness for dry cardboard when there were other cereals available.
Matchsticks.
All my saliva is evaporated, and now I'm just chewing a big dry wad of cardboard.
Chewing ashes, basically.
Yeah. Tastes like grandpa.
Oh, Thatch. No. Any other non-Christmassy films?
Well, I was going to say, having many sisters, as you know, I do associate I think it is the first My Little Pony movie with Christmas. That was one that I think was on around Christmas time, and I watched with my little sisters. I think it was like an early morning Christmas movie for like stick it on for the kids on CITV sort of thing.
Yeah, they'll have been showing that when they weren't showing the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
So even though it's not set at Christmas, it's not about Christmas. The My Little Pony the movie, I do recall sort of spending Christmassy times with my little siblings watching that. I never liked. I mean, the My Little Pony movie was all right. The Smooth song is always good fun. But I always really liked the Care Bears movies, particularly the Care Bears Adventure in Wonderland, which is still funny. Even today, straight to video, that one. I don't think the Care Bears Adventure in Wonderland ever made it out to the cinemas over here.
No, the first one definitely.
I saw the first 2 at the ABC in York with my sisters.
Yeah.
Well, the third one we got out of the video shop, and I loved it. The rapping Cheshire Cat, who for years I was convinced was Tone Loc until I looked it up and found out it wasn't.
He was in something else. He was definitely in something else with Tone Loc. Fern Gully or something like that.
Yeah, I think you might be right about Fern Gully.
Because he was the big-lipped alligator, wasn't he?
Yeah.
For those who know anything about Nostalgia Critical, the big-lipped alligator moment, which is a moment in film, in any film, which doesn't fit with the rest of it. It comes out of nowhere and is never mentioned again.
Yep.
I think he comes out, there's this alligator, does a rap and then fucks off, and nobody's... Doesn't it think weird that alligator came out and did a rap? Yeah, nobody says that.
No, they just take it in the stride and carry on.
Yeah, you think I would. But there you go. I will see you, though, sir, and I will raise you a Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was always a non-Christmassy Christmas film. That was on the other day. I was watching it, and I was surprised myself by how much I remember.
Yeah.
How much dialogue I remember of that film.
And I remember talking to you about Beetlejuice at the time, and you I don't know where you'd got this piece of info from, but it was just a great little tidbit, and whether it was apocryphal or not, it just feels like it fits. The guy who sat outside the hardware store, and he's talking about, like, he comes over, he's got hair down his goddamn shoulders, and he tells me just trim it a little. I remember you telling me at the time that there was a scene omitted from, like, when Beetlejuice was in, like, the waiting room at the end, that they were going to have a bit where, like, the old guy from the hardware store had died, and he was in the waiting room as well. And and Beetlejuice sits down next to him, and he's like, the old guy's just whittering on about him, about this lad who just didn't want his hair trimming and stuff. And that lives in my head now. That little moment in cinema, whether it was ever made or not or conceptualized, it's a part of Beetlejuice for me, and that's all thanks to you.
You're very welcome. I don't think it was filmed. I think it was storyboarded.
Yeah.
I seem to have the feeling it was storyboarded. They eventually went with the head shrinker, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. It's actually good luck for me.
I really, really love Beetlejuice. It's such a good movie.
Oh, it's fantastic. And it's a weird one because it's not a kid's movie, but it is a kid's movie.
Yeah, it's got a childish quality about it. I think it's got that fairy tale quality that, as you're right, Tim Burton always kind of goes for.
I think it's peak Tim Burton.
Yeah.
I think people have said that Corpse Bride or Nightmare Before Christmas or any of that. I don't think that is. I think Beetlejuice is peak Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very odd to look at. And the sort of dead universe, let's call it, is completely fantastical, but not scary. I like the fact that it's both fantastical and kind of mundane.
It is, yeah. It's absolutely like it's like going down the DHSS, isn't it? You know, to get I love the fact the one of my favourite things about that in Beetlejuice is like the guy who's like on the track on the ceiling, and he's clearly been squashed in life, so he's squashed in death, and he just comes through comes through a slot in the wall and comes along like flinging papers onto people's desks. It's just that visual, that visual lexicon that they have in Beetlejuice is just beautiful.
How are you today? I'm feeling a little flat. A little flat.
Oh, it's so good. Such a good.
And the fact that he was a postman in life and he's effectively a postman in death as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film. I do love Beetlejuice, and that game very, very Christmassy to me. Enemy Mine is another one that isn't Christmassy in the slightest at all, but I saw it at Christmas first, so for me that's always going to be a Christmassy film.
Yeah, because Enemy Mine isn't that? It's like a sci-fi remake of. Oh damn it! What's the movie? And it's got Toshiro Mifune in the original, I think.
Yeah, it's a remake of that one with Tony Curtis and Sidney Poitier, where they're chained together as well.
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah. It's a concept that's been done. I mean, even in like Star Trek: Next Generation, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, that you're having to learn about, like. Somebody you can't possibly really communicate with and work through differences kind of thing. And they also did a thing similar to that on an episode of Stargate SG-1 where Daniel Jackson has to not only survive alongside this alien who doesn't trust him and try and gain each other's trust, but they don't speak a word of each other's language, and he has to use what he can pick up to kind of piece together like bits of conversation to learn to communicate with each other. So there's kind of an element of that in it as well.
Yeah, I love things like that. There's even a He-Man episode, The Witch and the Warrior, where Tigler and Evelyn have to work together.
Yeah,
because they're in stuck. I love that. It's a great concept because it is always we've got more in common than we haven't. And Enemy Mine does it so well. It really does build up the relationship because for most of the film it is just Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr.
Yeah.
Until obviously Lou Gossett Jr.'s character dies, spoilers, and give him birth, so Davidge has to raise his son, and it becomes his son effectively. It's such a great concept, such a great, well acted, thought out movie that got literally no fucking coverage anywhere, and it's sort of like this weird cult classic along with Alien Nation and other films like that I enjoy. Alien Nation, there's another one. But that's another fantastic film and a fantastic series. I used to like the series a lot.
Yeah.
E.T. I will put out there as well. Now I'm not a big fan of E.T., but it's again very Christmassy. Not set at Christmas in the slightest. It's a Halloween film, if it's anything.
Yeah, absolutely, because of the whole trick or treating scene and.
Yeah.
But
again, it's that fairy tale quality.
Yeah, and also E.T.'s a bit like Jesus, isn't he? He dies and he comes back and like he heals people and stuff, and he's come from another place. He's like come from the sky. He's come from heaven, and then dies and he comes back and he heals people, doesn't he? He heals people's hearts as well as their bodies. He's like Jesus.
And Jesus fancied Elliot's mum as well, didn't he?
You forget how when you watch it as a kid,
it's blatant,
and you come back and you watch E.T. as an adult and you think, God, not only was like Elliot's mum and E.T. like fairly young. To be a single mom, she was also really quite attractive.
She was, and E.T. really had the hots for her.
Yeah,
more so in the book.
Yeah,
in the book it's completely blatant. When he gets drunk, he sort of the mask slips, as like all men. He really sort of has a hots, and also you forget that Harrison Ford's in it.
Yeah.
Because he's the teacher, and he's Elliot's teacher.
Yeah.
But because he, at the time, was married to the lady who wrote it. Melissa... Not Etheridge, something like that. Or Melinda something. I forget. Anyway,
Melinda
Melinda Messenger. The lady who wrote it, she was married to Harrison Ford at the time.
Oh, cool.
So he got a part in it. But you never see his face, you only see his hands.
Yeah.
It is a good film.
They stopped short of having any of the girls in class write "I love you" on their eyelids and blink slowly at them. Then,
yeah. Again, great example of a non-Christmassy Christmas film because all of those premiered at Christmas. So I'll always think of them, Christmassy. Raiders of the Lost Ark, especially, very Christmassy.
I think that was the thing about Christmassy, non-Christmassy movies, is that a lot of them were like summer blockbusters, and by the time it came round to you can put it on TV, it was going to be like the Christmas Day big movie, and that was a thing when we were kids.
Yeah, I mean, that, more than anything, it was the Christmas Day movie. I mean, these days, ITV will generally stick one of their own dramas on because it's cheaper, and BBC will generally not bother at all with a big Christmas movie anymore on Christmas Day. And it's a shame, because I used to get really excited. I mean, when Batman first came on, yes, I'd seen it on video, but this was on telly.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, even today, you know, you could have a shelf full of DVDs and Blu-rays, but if something's on TV and it has to be on, it's like, oh, I'll watch it now.
Well, Star Wars is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Whenever Star Wars is on telly, I have to I can't, if I see it's on telly, I can't turn it over, because if I do, I know I'm going to be watching it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. If I come across it by flicking channels and do that, that's fine. But if I see that it's on, I'm like, can't sit down and watch it because I ain't got time. I'm doing something. I was supposed to be doing something. But, no.
I used to do a thing, though, with with movies that I owned that I then saw on TV and would sort of instinctively want to sit and watch. Especially if I'd missed any of like the opening credits and stuff. If it was on a channel that had like advert breaks, I would then, having seen it was on the TV and be compelled to watch it, I would get the DVD or video down and I would watch it. And because there were no advert breaks on, then it would stop and I would turn it off, and I would then like watch like the last 10 or 15 minutes again, just for the joy of watching the last 10 or 15 minutes again. Is that weird?
That's a bit weird. I don't mind the ad breaks, I'll be honest with you.
No, that's true. Yeah, the ad breaks are good fun. Taping stuff off the TV.
That was ace.
Yeah.
When you found this VHS I hadn't seen in years, and you put it on and you watch all the old adverts, you think, awesome.
And thank goodness people used to do that, because they're the people who are now uploading stuff like that to YouTube for you and I to enjoy and stuff like this.
Exactly. And I do spend many an evening watching old BBC trailers. In fact, I've been putting them on the Facebook page. BBC Trails and Continuity for like sort of 1981, 2, 3 and 4 and whatnot. And I love watching that stuff.
It is. It's like a nice little bookmark of like consumer humanity back in the day. It's great.
I mean, I'm not saying that I tip the MP3s and put them on my Walkman and listen to them at work. I'm not saying that. But
you do.
But I totally do that. But because I'm 43 years old and a little bit sad. But there you go. Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, there's some Christmassy, non-Christmassy Christmas movies to watch. And I don't mean Die Hard, because apparently that is a Christmas movie. Bless you.
Oh, and bless you, Amy. She's putting her thumb up. It's all right. She's got some kind of weird allergic thing going on. I don't know whether she's allergic to me or... no, she's... I
think we'd have known by now.
Yeah, we probably would have.
I mean, it's been a while.
So, yes, apologies for my lovely sneezing lady in the background.
That's okay. We can cope with that, I think. What we'll do now, then, is we've done it previously. We'll do it again now. We'll be doing it all Christmas, looking through certain years of TV and just seeing what was on then and sort of commenting and seeing if we approve or not. So we will do Christmas Day 1983, which was a Sunday. Might be important, might not be, but it was a Sunday. And it started on BBC One at 8:35 a.m. There was no BBC News back then going all night. There was just, it opens. And this year it started with the Christmas Raccoons.
Oh, yeah! That was like the thing the pilot that kicked off the entire Raccoons TV series, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did a series of one-off specials, and this was the first one they did. And it says here, can the horrible and greedy Cyril Sneer be responsible for making the raccoons homeless at Christmas time? And I actually put this on the podcast page a little while back, and I said, Cyril Sneer, basically their version of Donald Trump, which he is. Yeah. That's exactly what unscrupulous businessman. Yeah. And somebody said, way to make things political. I'm never looking at this page again.
Oh, God.
So I went, ta-ta then.
Bye, Felicia.
What the hell? All right, Karen, calm your tits. Fuck it. Oh, it's like, what? I wasn't making it political. Yeah. He's an unscrupulous businessman.
Yeah, he's based on Donald frickin' Trump.
Yeah, well, he's based on Donald Trump, Mr. Potter, name who you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the unscrupulous businessman trope has been around a long time, and it will be around for a long time.
I mean, Uncle Scrooge stops short of being an unscrupulous businessman by, he has scruples at least.
At the end, he does.
Yeah.
Sybil Snape didn't have many. I mean, he wasn't the same character at the end of the series that he was in this, but...
No, that's true.
What was his nephew? Cedric, wasn't it?
Yeah, Cedric Snape. And what was the girl called?
Melissa?
Was she not Sophia?
I could be Sophia. Yeah, she was Cedric's girlfriend.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a thing for her.
Well, to be fair, purple hair. Yeah. Even though she hadn't had a nose like a kitchen tap, it don't matter. What was he? Wasn't he? Were they aardvarks? What were they?
They were aardvarks, yeah. Anteaters, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously the raccoons are the raccoons. You can actually get from 80s, the Truffle Shuffle, I used to be able to get a Bert Raccoon sweater, and I so want one.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is awesome, and everybody likes the raccoons, right? I know I do.
And what was the very first one? The one did they actually have like the whole "Run With Us" song on that, or was that just for the series? Yeah.
I think that was the series, and it was very different. It used to be I forget what was the female raccoon? That was Melissa, wasn't it? Or something? No,
I think you. I think you might be right. That might well be Melissa. Yeah.
The lady who voiced her was the lady who did the song, and then it changed, and she still did the song, but it was a different lady voicing it because Canadian voice actors change all the time.
Well, so that's
non-union, you see, which is why American voice actors all hate Pokemon.
Oh,
because they don't have anything to do with voicing them because it's all non-union. And there was one season that the kid who voiced Ash, or the woman, whoever voiced Ash, asked for more money, or they'd been there a certain time. And therefore they had to get paid more. So what they did, they fired the whole cast and started again. So there was one season where everyone sounded slightly different, and that's the reason why. Because they just fired the whole lot of them because they didn't want to have to pay them a higher rate.
That's crazy.
Non-union!
And yet, you'd think that people would want consistency in their voiceovers and stuff. They don't care about the audience, do they? They just care about
they don't care. They don't care. The kids say, what do they know? They don't care.
It's like the guy who'd been voicing Albert Wesker for years in the more recent Resident Evil games. He wasn't hired back, and there was a whole fan movement online to get him back as the voice of Wesker. But I don't think it happened in the end. I think it was for like the Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles, like the on rails shooter thing. But yeah, sadly, I don't like it when characters start to sound different. It's just all wrong.
Yeah,
and especially when they make them look different because of studio interference. Hashtag Janine Melnitz.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's why Straczynski walked, isn't it? So,
yeah.
There you go. Never mind. Anyway, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Getting back to Christmas Day. 9 a.m. because it's Sunday. Carols from Newby Hall.
Of course.
At Ripon.
Oh, yes.
9:50 a.m. Away in a Manger. Children's stories, songs, pictures and thoughts about the nativity. They kind of know that kids are opening the Christmas presents.
Yeah, let's put something on just so we've got something on. Yeah.
Yeah. Today he'd be born in a garage and they put him in newspapers. Oh, fuck me.
No, well, surely they'd wrap him up in like in like waxy sandwich paper and lay him in a pret-a-manger.
No, these days they just wrap him in a blanket made of dirty needles and...
Is this a Saw movie?
chuck him in a skip. There you go. 10:20 a.m. Christmas morning family service from the Mint Methodist Church. I don't know whether that's its name or they're just describing what it is. It's Mint.
Yeah, this Methodist Church is Mint.
Mint. It's Mint. It is. Everyone's going, what? I went from Yorkshire, circa 1993. Oh, it's Mint. But there you go. Anyway, that was that. And then 11:20 a.m. Here's a programme that'll never be shown again. The Little Convict. Colourful animation adventure starring Rolf Harris.
Oh, dear.
Rolf Harris is Jake the Peg. Oh, we get
surely The Little Convict is even more apt now.
Yeah, the little 80-year-old convict. Rolf Harris is Jake the Peg with the extra leg. Oh, no.
The little
Oh dear, time kangaroo down. Oh no. Anyway, 12:30 p.m. Ziggy's Gift, an award-winning animated Christmas story about the magic of giving. Ziggy, who isn't Al's computer. He's a little guy in a big world. He's overweight and underwhelmed. That's me. Takes a job as a street corner Santa. That sounds awful.
It really does. Like one of those.
Even so, Ziggy finds the true spirit of Christmas. Even so, Ziggy finds the true spirit of Christmas in a greedy, commercialised world.
Yep.
That sounds terrible.
What's on the other side?
Oh, God, we'll find out in a minute. Then a cartoon, Bugs Bunny and the Abominable Snow Rabbit, which admittedly is quite good. And then one of the drizzling shit of a film, Glitterball, 1977. That's the Children's Film Foundation, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's terrible. It's this, do you remember them rubber balls that were sort of had glitter inside, the bouncy ball? It's one of them with the light in it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be an alien. And it talks through the radio like Bumblebee.
Oh.
And it's 1977, so you can imagine.
Yeah, pretty bad.
It's like sort of made on a budget of an amulet and a piece of chewing gum.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not good. And that was a premiere. I remember that being on. I remember watching that during Christmas dinner. It's not good. Yeah. I mean, it's good for a laugh, but it's not a good film.
I do remember. There was a thing, the robots from like Benji Zax and the Alien Prince.
Yeah.
There was a movie that was on around Christmas time, and I don't know whether it was those robots from Benji Zax and the Alien Prince in their own thing, or whether it was just robots that reminded me of them, and I can't remember what it was called.
Black Hole?
No, not the Black Hole. I love the Black Hole. I saw that at the picture.
Because Zax always reminded me of Vincent.
Yeah. But I remember there being a robot-based movie that I thought was like the robots from Benji Zax and the Alien Prince. But I don't. Nobody ever seems to remember it existing apart from me. Maybe my
80s Hive Mind. Anybody remember? Let us know.
Yeah,
that's what you're here for. And to obviously enjoy. Top of the Pops comes next. Top of the Pops 1983. It's part 1. The Radio 1 DJs, the ones that aren't inside, present the singers and bands who have made this year's top-selling records. So you got Michael Jackson, Shakin' Stevens, Men at Work, Bonnie Tyler, Duran Duran, Bucks Fizz, Lionel Richie, and David Bowie. It's basically my playlist.
Yeah, good stuff.
Next up, the Queen. So Queenie speaks to the Commonwealth. What the fuck are you doing to my country? Fucking Brexit! That's this year. That's a sneak peek. 3:15, Blankety Blank. This is Wogan era, so he hosts a special Christmas edition of the programme starring Sabina Franklin.
Oh, yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I remember Sabina Franklin. She used to be on... she was on she was on a sitcom, as I recall. Right. I'm going to have to Google to find out which sitcom, though, because it's going to drive me mad otherwise.
No Place Like Home?
I think it might well have been. She's Sabina, isn't she, rather than a...
Sabina, not Sabrina, yeah. But you've got her, Roy Kinnear, Ruth Maddock, because of course, Patrick Moore, Beryl Reid and Freddie Starr. Oh, dear. And then I will never understand why this was a massive film on Christmas TV in 1983. Treasure Island, the 1950 Disney version.
Oh.
It's not even considered a classic.
Oh.
It's not even a good version of it. It's really not a good version of it. But there you go. It's got Robert Newton. All right, then. Bobby Driscoll and Basil Sidney. Not a clue. But, yeah, not good. I don't like Treasure Island anyway. It's very boring.
Yeah, it's not... I tell you what I do like, actually. Treasure Planet. Underrated.
Never seen it.
I really like it. I think it's great. It's a nice science fiction-y reworking of Treasure Island, and it just works. It's a lovely-looking movie, and it's a largely overlooked Disney movie. That and Atlantis.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's quite good.
Yeah, like Mike Mignola sort of designs on the characters as well, which
very un-Disney-like.
Yeah,
which is probably why it was.
It's almost like Disney's Hellboy the movie. Almost,
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I totally would. Have you seen that? On slightly off topic here. Have you seen the trailer for the new Hellboy?
I don't want to. I'm gonna be honest here. I hate to be a Hellboy G1er, but the only Hellboy I've ever seen or read, I haven't read any. The only Hellboy I know is Ron Perlman, and I can't see anybody else doing it.
I couldn't either. But having seen the trailer, I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think if they're not going to do it with Perlman, and I still think they should have done it with Perlman, but I think if they're not going to do it with Perlman, Sheriff Hopper is a damn close second.
Yeah. They should have given Guillermo one more film, but never mind.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Next up, 5:35 p.m. after the news.
It was Keep It in the Family, by the way, that she was on.
There we are.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was on Terry and Jim.
Cartoonist.
Yeah.
There we go. 5:35 p.m. Oh, Jim will fix it. We'll gloss over that one. Songs of Praise special at 6:15 because it's Sunday. Almost 2,000 years ago, in a small village in the Middle East, a baby was born.
And we've not stopped trying to get oil from him since.
Oddly enough, presented by Jeffrey Wheeler, who used to do Winner Takes All.
Oh.
Interesting. 7:15 p.m. Here we go now. The two Ronnies.
Hey, now that's a Christmas special.
That's a Christmas special. This time, special guest, not Barbara Dixon. None of these have Barbara Dixon in them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Barbara Dixon. It's always Elton John. But there you go. 8:05. Again, non-Christmassy, but very Christmassy. All Creatures Great and Small. And this was a special, this was, because the series had ended a few years before. And as far as everybody was aware, that was it. And then they brought it back for a few specials, or this special, and then made a new series. And it just went from strength to strength. This was after it being demobbed from the army.
Yeah.
Fantastic series. I love All Creatures.
Yeah, it was one of my mum's favourites as a kid, so we always watched it. And I grew up loving it too.
Well, they've got a box set of it in Sainsbury's for like 30 quid. And I'm thinking, early Christmas present to myself?
Yeah.
Possibly. Because I really like it. And they've also got, for 35 quid, every single episode of Tales of the Unexpected.
Wow.
I kind of want it. I kind of really want it. I've kind of sort of asked for it. And said, if you're going to buy me one present, or somebody wants to buy me a present, kind of wouldn't mind that. Because it's fantastic.
And a great theme tune too.
Oh, it's awesome theme tune.
In fact, that and All Creatures, both classic.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. And the guest list of All Creatures is astounding.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of people, and the amount of Doctor Who crossover as well. There's so many Doctor Who people, not just Peter Davison either. But there you go. After that, a classic, I think a really classic episode of Only Fools and Horses. It's Thicker Than Water, and it's the one where Dad Trotter turns up. And it's really important episode in Only Fools, really, because before then it had a bit of pathos, but it was just standard sitcom.
Yeah, it never had like the really heartfelty type stuff so much.
Yeah, and after this, it's sort of, that's when it changed. I think the season after might have been the one where Grandad died.
Yeah.
And that was immense pathos in that sort of era. Especially when Uncle Albert turned up. I was actually watching the other day, Jolly Boy's outing. Such a good episode. Yeah. And again, that's really Christmassy without set in August, for fuck's sake, on the bank holiday. But to me, that is the quintessential Only Fools and Horses. It's where they go to Margate.
Yeah.
And the bus blows up. Oh, just put him on the back seat. He'll be fine. Put him on the back seat. He's the driver. Lots of good Boise in that one as well. I do love Boise. After that, 10 o'clock news, and then Better Late Than Never, which is a film starring David Niven, Nat Carney, and Maggie Smith.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a kid.
It was David Niven's last film.
It was. In fact, he was so poorly during filming of it, they actually had to get a sound alike to dub over some of his lines. I remember my mum telling me. It's the one where there's like there's a little girl in it, and I remember that they meet. Now, isn't it the girl who is she also out of Star Trek: The Voyage Home?
I think so.
And these old fellas are kind of like fawning over and trying to pull this younger woman. And I remember the one bit where the little girl is hanging out with the sort of blonde lass from the Star Trek movie, and she puts all her makeup on, like a grown up makeup, but because the little girl is very little, it just looks horrid on her, and Maggie Smith's character absolutely goes apeshit at her and tells her to go and wipe it all off. But yeah, great movie that.
Also, Maggie Smith.
Yeah, Maggie Smith's brilliant.
She's a good-looking woman in that film,
I'll
tell you. But not so much now, obviously. Oh, Downton Abbey.
It comes to us all, then. It comes to us all.
I say, no, don't get me wrong. Her and Diana Rigg, badasses when they're old.
Yeah.
I killed him, and I tell you what, I'd do it again.
Yes.
And not only that, she can't kill me because I've killed myself. Fuck you all. Oh, I love it. But anyway, Spinners at York is on at 11:45 p.m. They were actually down the Dickensian Street at York Castle Museum.
I've performed down there, you know.
Yeah, so have the Spinners.
Yeah. Apparently so.
I used to like the Spinners. Liverpudlian folkies that they are. I quite like folk.
Yeah.
As I've got old, I kind of like folk. Folk music's quite good.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a slightly folky connection, obviously, with my uncle being a folk singer, and also growing up enjoying the comedy and music of Mike Harding, who's very folky as well. So,
He's very outspoken as well.
He's silly.
He's kind of called Theresa May a bit of a dick. But there you go, he always would be.
But of course.
He was awesome. I always remember that joke he did about going home when he's been blind drunk.
Yeah.
He's just,
took something to eat, and
I smashed my testicles into the boots 13 or 14 times. Have you had enough yet? And then I go out looking for Huey. Huey.
Yeah. Well, I get it, and we've got one of those garden gates that tells the time. You open it, and it goes 4 o'clock in the morning. What are you making all this bloody round for?
Where have you been? Darts match. 3 bloody weeks. It was an away match.
Chucking some arrows at lads.
Very funny.
We will get home, and she sat there, the dragon, teeth out and curlers in. Look horrible with a mouthful of curlers, women.
Boom. And on that note, we'll move to ITV.
Hey, what's on ITV?
This is Granada because they had the most consistent. The thing with ITV listings is that back in the day, before it was all one company, everybody used to put on what the fuck they liked when they wanted to. But Granada was sort of the gold standard. They were the sort of the BBC of ITV, and people set their watches by them. So we'll go with Granada. So yes, first off, they open roughly about an hour and a half earlier than the BBC with Rubber Dub Tub. All right then, Christmas Day special with Bonnie Langford,
of course,
Michelle Dotrice.
Oh yes,
because she's there, hubby's there. So we got Iwa Wuwa,
Iwa Wuwa,
and Alan Dart. I don't know who that is.
I have no idea.
But after that, Edward Woodward at 7 a.m.
It can't be filmed live.
It's kind of terrorising.
They should have opened it with the Equalizer theme.
Oh. It's always a badass, and he never did anything badass.
No.
He just used to say, if I find out you've been doing this, I'll come back and I'll sort it out. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's great with threats. You never have to actually see him carry him out because he's so good at threats.
Callan just told me off. Unlike Denzel, who will sort of fuck you up while telling you he's going to fuck you up.
Yeah, no, I still need to see
really
that.
Good.
You know? And has the second one been out?
Good. Yeah. They're really good.
I do love a bit of Denzel. He's great.
He's fucking awesome. But anyway, next up, Christmas for TVAM with A Thought for Christmas from Cardinal Hume and Chris Tarrant at Queen Mary Hospital for Children. This is the wilderness years for Chris Tarrant when he'd sort of finished his was and OTT. There'd not much else to do until Millionaire came around, really.
Yeah.
Roland Rat is on next because he's with TVAM. So Roland's Winter Wonderland. And then, oh, gold. 9:25, The Night the Animals Talked, animated nativity parable.
Oh, dear.
That sounds awful.
It really does.
Next up, the Fraggles are coming because the Fraggles were coming the month after. I think New Year's Day the Fraggles series started. But, yeah, it was like a 5-minute preview of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then the Fraggles came. I'm looking at Fraggles as I say this. I have 4 of the 5.
That's great.
So,
where do you get Fraggles from?
Blackpool.
Oh.
They have, you know them Donkey Derby race things where you chuck a ball up and you've got to get it in a hole?
Yeah.
And then obviously then the donkey goes faster as soon as you do that. We kept winning because we were really good. Because everyone else was piss-ass drunk, you see. We weren't, so we could do it better. And they had lots of Fraggles. The only one they didn't have was Moki, so I don't have a Moki. So one day
you will have a Moki.
I will have a Moki. But I've got Booba, so that's and Wembley, my favourite, so I'm happy enough. Next up, Messengers to Earth, which says musical fantasy recorded at Queen Elizabeth Grammar School, Crediton. Oh, that sounds dreadful. Christmas morning worship is from St Molua's Church in Belfast. Less about that, the better. Then the Magic Planet ice skating fantasy spectacular. Jesus, have you seen what ITV's big thing is this Christmas night?
No.
Christmas Day night. It's a dramatised version of Torval and Dean meeting.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a thing.
They're boring as fuck.
That's
going to be really dull.
It's going to be the worst thing I've ever heard this week, except for just pipped to the post by me hearing that they're actually making Brexit the movie.
Oh no! That looks awesome.
Does
That's
Beanie Cabbage Patch.
It's Bodybad Havazak. He's going to be Dominic Raab. So it's all about how they won, basically. So it's them basically getting clickbait onto things like Facebook to make people who don't normally votes that they posited that they could get 2 million extra voters by putting clickbait shit on Facebook, riling people up and getting them to vote Leave. That's basically what happened. So it's all about them trying to do
stirring up Tommy Robinsons.
Yeah. Basically, and it looks quite good. And it's like I said, it's Bumblebee and Weeble Patch. So it's going to be good no matter what, isn't it? So I'd pay money to see him.
I suppose that's
anyway.
true.
It's on Netflix anyway, so it's not going to cost me.
Oh well, that's all right. And I thought it was like a cinema release or something.
No, it's a Netflix original. So I quite like Netflix original movies.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good.
Support them because then we'll get Christmas Chronicles 2, and I really want to see that.
I've not watched the first one yet, but I keep hearing good things about it.
So good. Basically, he's just badass Santa. He's great. It's Kurt Russell.
I was going to say it's like Escape from the North Pole.
It's everything you ever imagined it was going to be. So it's like, oh yeah, he makes a really good Father Christmas. And I'm hoping they do The Night the Reindeer Died with him as Lee Majors. It's Lee Majors. But anyway. After the Magic Planet Ice Skating Fantasy Spectacular, 12:15, film The Capture of Grizzly Adams with Dan Haggerty. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Just love that.
Love a bit of Grizzly Adams. Dan Haggerty was awesome. Next up, the Royal Year ITN compilation. So boring. 3 p.m, The Queen. Obviously, you fucking up my country, you bastards! Anyway, after that, this is where it gets good. 3:15 p.m, film Superman 1978.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then after that, Bullseye Christmas Special.
Nice.
With Kenneth Kendall and on Diamond. Can you handle the excitement?
Good Lord.
That sounds awesome. 6:25, next ITN News. Then 6:35, it's Sunday, so a Royal Concert of Carols. This is weird. In the presence of Prince and Princess of Wales, with Marty Webb. Not Marty Kay. I'd have put Marty Kay.
That would be hilarious.
I fucking loved Marty Kay. She was ace.
Yeah.
She sounded like us.
Yeah.
Very rare you got people that sounded like us to that extent on television.
It's very true.
And also, she was a looker.
Yeah. No, I used to really like Marty Kane when I was little.
I remember when she did New Faces. It was actually good.
Yes.
Because she became famous off something like New Faces, if I remember correctly.
I think she did, didn't she? Was it like Opportunity Knocks or something like that?
It could have been New Faces.
It might even have been New Faces, yeah.
Yeah, you had that, and then you had Bob Says Opportunity Knocks on BBC. So that was when talent shows were actually good. Because the talent wasn't great. But they kind of knew they weren't, so it's fine.
Yeah, but I think that's what things like that should be. It should be like, normal people showing what they can do, rather than somebody who's clearly been like groomed and manufactured and has been touring the club circuit for years and just wants like $1 million recording contract, I think.
I don't mind them touring the club circuit because that's where all the Opportunity Knocks New Faces guys came from.
Oh, yeah.
From the clubs. What I don't like, and what they didn't have in these shows, is, my granddad.
Oh, the sob story thing I hate.
I'm doing this for my mum who's stubbed a toe. It's like, oh, no, I can't bear it. I don't care. Just do your act. And then have Nina Mishkov slag you off.
Yeah.
Amazing. After that, another glorious thing. 7:15. Bruce Forsyth, Play Your Guards Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now you're talking. Now you're talking. That's a nice sort of Christmas. After that, another amazing programme. Jimmy Tarbuck's Christmas All-Stars.
No.
Featuring Bruce Forsyth, obviously, Mike Yarwood, By Graves, brilliant, Cannonball, Shakin' Stevens, love Shakin' Stevens, Bonnie Tyler, Michael Barrymore, Jeremy Beadle, Henry Kelly, Matthew Kelly, Sarah Kennedy, so game for a laugh, basically. Yep. Then From America by Satellite, I love those days. Andy Williams, The Temptations, The Four Tops, Robert Wagner, Stephanie Powers, because Heart to Heart,
yeah.
And then The Hoff.
Wow.
That's quite a good show.
That's a really good show. I would watch that again, yeah.
Then the film Revenge of the Pink Panther, which isn't one of the better ones, if I'm being honest. But that's the one where they're in the lift and the great outtakes where he does the fart. And it's so funny. to watch 4 trained professionals, including comedy god Peter Sellers, laughing because somebody fakes a fart. Really funny.
Brilliant. Now, is that the one? Is that the one which ended with Herbert Lom's character, who's gone mad and is trying to kill him by this point, getting dissolved by like a giant laser, and the last thing that disappears as the laser evaporates him is his twitching eye from all the stress that Clouseau's caused him?
That's it. That's the one. And then they did one in 80 when I think Sellers had sadly passed away by then, and it was his son. Is it Alan Arkin? It could have been Alan Arkin, someone like that. Anyway. Having to go around, because I know Alan Arkin played Clouseau.
Yeah.
He was the first Clouseau, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
But it was like it wasn't anything to do with the Pink Panther. It was just
like sort of spun off from, yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like it's kind of Jacques Tati sort of stuff. But there's another good guy, Alan Arkin. I love Alan Arkin. Then after the news, King's Christmas, which is the King Singers from Harewood House in Yorkshire. Oddly enough, a lot of Yorkshire in this. And then The Streets of San Francisco with Carl Malden and Michael Douglas. Awesome. And then, different indeed. A Different Christmas. Gillian Reynolds chats to Jimmy Savile at Stoke Mandeville. Oh, fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine the shit he was getting up to?
Oh, it doesn't even bear thinking about. Oh.
I kind of want to watch it. Thinking, what
watching the faces of the people in the background trying to mouth "he's abusing me."
He's fucking dead bodies, which apparently he was doing.
Guys, it's just such a horrible human being. Well, subhuman being.
Yeah, just doesn't bear thinking about it.
No,
and John Lydon warned us all. Nobody took him seriously because he was a Sex Pistol. Amazing.
At least he wasn't a sex offender.
No, he wasn't, as far as we know. Instead of The Streets of San Francisco, interestingly enough, Yorkshire showed Benson.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. But there you go. That was Christmas Day on both channels. I would say quite a good lineup, actually, on both, apart from Treasure Island, which is pretty duff. But at that point, you had a choice between Treasure Island and Superman. Well, I'm going to go Superman. I don't know about you.
Every damn time I would pick Superman.
I kind of wonder if BBC New ITV had it and thought...
what have we got that we can throw to the wolves? Yeah, we need to stick a movie on, but what have we got that... the only people who are not going to watch Superman might watch... And let's go with like a literary classic.
Yeah, let's take the moral high ground.
Yeah.
Not very good. But excellent stuff. Well, that's it for another episode, I think.
Yeah.
Andy.
Yo.
What have you got to promote or talk about, or where can people find you on the old interweb?
Well, of course, I'm on the old Smorgaspod on a weekly basis. We're doing the Smorgaspod slightly differently now. We've gone into a slightly new format. We're doing 2 half-hour-ish episodes a week rather than just an hour once a week. Just because, if people are YouTubing and listening to podcasts, they want something maybe a bit more bite-sized for the journey to work, so we're doing that. I'm up on the old YouTubes with Transform and Tell on the Smorgaspod channel every week, and I've got a really nice one coming up for Christmas as well. If you like your robots extra shiny, then get your ass over to the Smorgaspod YouTube channel, because I've got something a bit special coming this week.
Lovely stuff. Well, it is Christmas.
It is.
Excellent.
I wish it could be Christmas every day.
Oh, I don't. That'd be expensive, wouldn't it?
Well, no, because you wouldn't have to suffer through the build-up to it. Because it would just be Christmas every day. It would be like Groundhog Christmas.
I like the build-up. I like it. The foreplay is just as good as the orgasm.
No, I'd just go for like glitter-spangled jizz all day, every day.
Isn't that a band name? Anyway... You can find us, as always, on Twitter, which is at BTTEpod, and on Facebook, facebook.com/BTTEpod. You can find me, Glenn Jakeman, on Facebook, and at Cymru Nerd Cave on the old Twitters there, and on YouTube as well. I'm going to start making videos again, because it's Christmas, and I can. I've been sent something rather cool. I will just say, regular show listener, and he's been on the podcast before, Andrew Mortimer, and his lovely Mrs. Paula, who was a host on here about a year and a half ago, did send me a box of stuff, and it's basically just lots and lots of back issues of early 1980s look-ins.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they're in really good, pristine condition as well. So I do intend making a video of those, and I will also say thank you to Andrew for that. It was very kind of you, mate. You didn't need to do that, but thank you anyway. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing a video just on those and just showing those off and say, look, kids, this is what our TV times used to look like.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
And they're not in your face photo bollocks that we got when we were kids. They're even better because they're usually really well drawn covers and stuff like that. And there's an episode in there an edition of it, which is all about Xanadu, the Olivia Newton-John film.
Wow.
Which isn't great, but I really love it.
I think it's a lot of people's guilty pleasure, that one. It's not one I've seen for years and years, but I do remember, visually, I remember seeing it. You know, and I remember seeing bits of it on the telly, and it's one of those things that really sticks in your head.
Everybody knows the song. Yeah, and to be fair, an axe sticks in your head doesn't mean it's a good thing. But yeah, thank you to Andrew for that. So I will be showing those on video as well. But if you do want to go on there, it's Cumbery Nerd Cave on YouTube. Excellent stuff. We will be leaving you this week with, well, it's Christmas, innit? And yeah, so we will be doing Stop the Cavalry by Jonah Louie from 1980. And then it's a bilingual close down because it's from S4C, which is round here, it's Wales, Christmas 1983, so half of it is in English, and then the other half, which unless you're Welsh you won't understand, apart from Nostach, obviously, it's in Welsh. It's awesome. And then they sing White Christmas in Welsh.
Sweet.
Yeah, this is really good. It's really nice. It's really Christmassy. So yes, there will be lots of that. So we will leave you with that for the week. Until next time, the Christmas episode in a few days. Christmas Eve, that'll be coming out.
Is that you and Lee, did you say?
That is me and Lee, myself
and
Lee.
I'm not even jealous that you're doing the Christmas special with Lee this year, because Lee has the most amazing bone structure, which you can't see on the audio version, but...
She'll be blushing.
Oh, bless.
She'll be blushing. But there we go. Yes. My colleague and I will be doing the Christmas special this year because I did it with you last year. And the Christmas special. Hey! But yes, Andy, all that remains is for you to say bye-bye to all the lovely people.
Bye-bye and Merry Christmas, you guys.
Bye-bye for now. We shall see you in a couple of days with the Crimblemas episode. See ya!
Bye!
Hey, Mr. Churchill comes over here to say we're doing splendidly. But it's very cold out here in the snow, marching to and from the enemy. Oh, I say it's tough, I have had enough. Can you stop the cavalry? I have had to fight almost every night down throughout these centuries. That is when I say, oh yes, yet again, can you stop the cavalry? Mary Bradley waits at home in the nuclear fallout zone. Wish I could be dancing now in the arms of the girl I love. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-dum, dum-ba-dum-ba-dum, dum-ba-dum-dum, dum-ba-dum-dum. Wish I was at home for Christmas. Bang, that's another bomb on another town while the Tsar and Jim have tea. If I get home, lift and tell the tale, I'll run for all presidencies. If I get elected, I'll stop. I will stop the cavalry. Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-dum, dum-ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum I was at home for Christmas. Wish I could be dancing now in the arms of the girl I love. Mary Bradley waits at home. She's been waiting 2 years long. Wish I was at home for Christmas.
And we've come to the end of our programmes for this evening. And since we're now well into Christmas Day, may I, on behalf of all of us here at S4C, wish you a very happy Christmas. In the midst of all the excitement and preparations for the Christmas dinner tomorrow, may I invite you to join us here on S4C when we begin our morning programmes with a Christmas oratorio from Germany. That's at 10:30 tomorrow morning. That's then followed at 1:15 by a musical film, The Gang's All Here. Then, to close the evening tomorrow, we have a celebration of Christmas filmed in the grotto of the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem with Sir Laurence Olivier and Dame Flora Robson. That's at 11:10 tomorrow evening. O gai ar yn rhan i gyd yma'n Sianel 4 Cymru ddymuno Nadolig llawen iawn I bob un ohonoch chi. A diolch yn fawr iawn I chi am eich cwmni drwy gydol y dydd. Bydd ein raglenni at ddydd Nadolig yn dechrau'n eitha cynarfori gyda chyngerdd Nadolig o'r Almaen, a hynny am hanner awr wedi 10. Mae'n raglenni Cymraeg yn dechrau am hanner awr wedi 5 gyda'r Hifin Anfarwol o Fo a Fe. Wel Cwac Cwac yn dilyn, wedyn Wymff a Plwmsan, Pobol y Cwm, Hywel Gwynfryn, Henllys Fawr a Deiwch a Caddolwn. Gobeithio wir nwch chi ymuno yn hwyl yr wyl yma ar S4C. Byddai nôl i'ch tywys chi drwy raglennu'r prynhawn a rhan o'r noson y fori ac fe fydd Rowena a Robin yma rhywben o'r dydd hefyd, felly beth yma ymuno ni. Wel, eri bod hi wedi troi bron iawn 5 munud wedi 1 erbyn hyn, dwi'n siŵr bod y noson ond ar fi'n dechrau chi rieni sy'n bwriadu helpu Sion Corn I ddadlwytho'i sach. Dwi'n gobeithio wneith alw gyda fi rhywbryd beth bynnag. Dweud y gwir, dwi'n hanner gobeithio I weld ar y ffordd adre heno, pwy wyr. Well, I've got my Christmas stocking all ready to be hung at the foot of the bed. I'm just hoping that Santa got my letter in time and is going to fill it all with goodies for me. But before we leave you tonight, I'd like to wish you all a very peaceful night and a very happy Christmas. And on behalf of my shift here, I'd also like to say thanks and Merry Christmas to the A-team at HTV. That is, John and Mark, who have been feeding us with the ads today. Have a good night, lads, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Ar yn rhan I gyd felly yma yn Sianel 4 Cymru, a'r criw ar ochr arall i'r ffenest fan'na'n gweithio'n galed er mwyn gwneud yn siŵr mod I yma I siarad â chi, sef Paul a Bill, Tony, John, Eric a finne Sian, gai ddymuno. Noson dawel, a Nadolig llawen iawn I chi. Nos da.
ddechrau'r stori, y wawr yn torri, ac mae'r hanes hwnnw'n dal o hyd.